It's recap time. I bring you one more recap. Today I'll explain an action thriller movie called Red Right Hand from the year 2024. So let's start. Cash lives in the Appalachian town of Odom County. He used to do dirty work for a gangster named Big Cat, but he has quit the violent ways now and is trying to live an honest life. Cash visits his brother-in-law, Finney, and his daughter, Savannah. Savannah is a hard-working kid who likes to study. Cash's sister, Rachel, who is Finney's wife, passed away some time ago, and Finney has become a miserable drunk in her absence. Cash came to wake him up so they could both feed the farm animals. Cash and Finney run their own farm that was left to them by Rachel. While working, Savannah notifies them that their horse is about to give birth. They help the horse deliver the baby, and afterward, decide to go for breakfast. Cash wants Finney to breathe some fresh air, so he invites him for breakfast. Savannah joins Cash, but Finney says he'll catch up with them. On their way for breakfast, Cash and Savannah stop at the county church. There, we meet Pastor Wilder, who's delivering a sermon. Wilder also had a violent past like Cash, but he too has found new meaning for his life. The uncle and niece catch up with Wilder, who worries about Finney's condition, and then they head to the diner. While eating breakfast, they wait for Finney, but he doesn't come. While Cash's past life catches up with him, Big Cat's minions, led by the Buck, arrive at the diner and corner Savannah. Cash tells Savannah to leave so he can chat with them. The Buck informs Cash that Big Cat wants to talk to him about his farm. Cash returns to Finney's home and asks him if he made a deal with Big Cat. Finney reveals that he took a loan from Big Cat by putting the farm on mortgage. Cash gets furious and tells him he should have gone to the bank for a loan. Cash knows Finney can't handle Big Cat, so he takes matters into his own hands. On the other hand, we see two thugs planning to loot one of Big Cat's illegal drug houses. The drug house had traps lying around, and one of the thugs fell into one of them. The other one tries to run but gets caught. Meanwhile, Cash pays a visit to a lawyer named Zeke, who happens to be Big Cat's son. Zeke clarifies to Cash that legally, Big Cat owns his farm, and their debt can only be settled if Big Cat considers it settled. Back at Finney's house, Big Cat's henchmen break in and beat up Finney. They take Finney and Savannah out of the house and fire a gun next to Finney's ears, turning him deaf momentarily. Big Cat didn't want the money but wanted to send a message. Cash returns home and finds his family beaten. He takes Finney inside and Savannah fills him in on what happened. Cash tells them to stay put while he visits the sheriff's department. There we meet the noble Deputy Duke Parks and his boss, Sheriff Hollister. He notifies them that the Big Cat had his family beaten up, so he wants to take down the Big Cat. Sheriff Hollister and Duke also want to put Big Cat behind bars, so they recommend Cash bring in some solid evidence that they can take up with a judge. At night, Cash pulls up to Big Cat's house, but gets stopped by two dogs. Big Cat enters the scene, and she's an old woman who's the queenpin of the county. She invites Cash inside her house and excuses Lazarus, one of her dealers. Cash inquires why she sent her thugs to terrorize Finney and Savannah. Big Cat reveals she wanted to send a message for him. She says she doesn't want his money or farm. Instead, she wants his services because she is expanding her empire, and since Cash was much better than most of her men. Cash refuses because he had a deal with her and left her for good. Big Cat threatens to bury Finney next to Rachel, so out of desperation, Cash agrees. She informs him that she's got 3 jobs for him. If he completes all 3 of them, then his debt will be considered paid. Cash returns to the farm and chats with Finney. Finney vows to quit drinking and take better care of his daughter. Later that night, Big Cat interrogates the thug who got caught at her drug house. He reveals his name is Harlan, and he only wanted to steal some pills with his partner. Big Cat doesn't believe him and asks who he works for. Otherwise, she'll torture him. Harlan swears he wasn't working for anyone, so she cuts off his thumb. She tasks her men to drop Harlan and secretly tail him, so they bring in Cash for that as well. Cash and the Buck follow Harlan, who returns to his gang. Cash spies on them and finds out that Harlan's gang is pissed, and they are planning to retaliate. The Buck then calls in the Doe and the rest of his gang to eliminate Harlan's crew. They send Cash to the back while they break in from the front. They blaze Harlan's crew with bullets, but one of them escapes from the back only to get taken down by Cash. The gang arrives in the back and shoots the escapee. Cash returns home and goes for hunting the next day with Finney. They hunt a deer and bring it back to the farm, where Finney teaches Savannah how to remove the skin from the deer. At night, Cash goes to the bar for a couple of drinks with Pastor Wilder. They both talk about their partying days and how they both worked for Big Cat and left her for good. They both have a burn mark on their right hand, which was made by Big Cat when they agreed to leave her. Later, while sleeping, Cash gets called in for his second job at Big Cat. He's paired up with Wes, another one of Cat's henchmen, and they are assigned to secure a deal that Lazarus is about to make for her. Plans change, and Big Cat orders Wes to take out Lazarus after her deal because Lazarus is doing some side business that's creating hurdles for Big Cat. Wes fumbles and confuses the plan. He thinks Lazarus is setting them up, so he panics and shoots him before the deal. Cash tells him to calm down and help him hide Lazarus's body. The other party arrives, led by Dominic, who questions Lazarus's sudden absence. Cash says he couldn't make it in time, so they are conducting business on his behalf. Dominic doesn't buy it, and a shootout commences. Cash and Wes survive, but Dominic and his guard die. Only the young guard remains. Cash tries to reason with him, but he runs away. Cash shoots his legs and negotiates a deal with him where Cash takes the money and he takes Cash's products, just like it was originally planned. The young guard accepts, and the deal goes through. Shortly after, Finney arrives to pick up Cash and Wes. They light their van on fire and take Lazarus's corpse to decompose it. Later, Cash meets Deputy Duke Park secretly. He informs him that Big Cat's got drug labs all over the hills, and she's trading trucks full of drugs for Cash. Duke tells him he needs evidence that can tie this story to Cat, so Cash asks what sort of evidence he should get. Duke mentions that he'll ask the district attorney's office and report to him then. Duke is an honest man trying to do an honest job, but he doesn't know how deep Big Cat's pockets are. Back at the farm, Finney and Cash teach Savannah how to shoot with a rifle. Meanwhile, Duke stops a junkie girl for inspection. She tries to shoot Duke, but he pulls her out of the car and handcuffs her. The junkie warns him that he'll be in trouble because she works for Big Cat. Duke inspects her car trunk and finds loads of drugs. At night, Duke calls Cash and instructs him to locate Cat's drug labs on a map for them to use as evidence so they can convict Big Cat. Cash then gets called in for his third task. The Doe and Buck pick him up and drive him to Cat's mansion. There, it is revealed that it's not a job, but Cat's throwing a dinner party for her son, Zeke. She then diverts everyone's attention to Cash, saying she has big plans for him and the rest of her crew by making truckloads of money. Everyone cheers as Cash walks towards the fireplace and remembers when Big Cat made him burn his hand for quitting. Cat then takes everyone to the living room for entertainment, which is a captured and beaten up Deputy Duke. She tells everyone that Duke has been messing with her business for quite some time and wonders where he's getting the information from. She calls in her torture expert, Jet, who punches Duke. Jet then wheels in a bunch of torture instruments, including hammers and blades. The Doe and Buck use the hammers to break both of Duke's knees. Duke screams in pain but still doesn't mention Cash. He begs to spare him because he has a little son who needs him. But Big Cat wants to set an example and suggests slitting his throats with blades and saws. Cash intervenes to save Duke, so he recommends taking the deputy to the hills and finishing him off privately. Cat doesn't buy it and cuts Duke's throat. She orders Cash to feed the deputy to her dogs, then he can bury whatever's left of him. Cash agrees and considers this his last job, but Big Cat backs out of her deal and says the deal's over whenever she says it over. The Doe drops Cash home, where he lashes out because he knew this would happen. The next morning, the Buck informs Cat that he unlocked Duke's phone and found out he was talking with Cash this whole time, so she orders the elimination of Cash and his family. Meanwhile, Finney is getting back on track. He gets dressed properly and decides to go to church with Savannah. He calls to invite Cash, but he is planning to take out Big Cat and refuses to come. Cash locates Big Cat's drug labs and notes them down on a map as evidence. At the county church, Wilder gives another sermon, but gets surprised when he sees Finney walk in. During the sermon, Finney gets emotional about his condition and heads out. After the sermon, Savannah catches up with her dad, who cries and apologizes to her for not taking better care of her. Pastor Wilder approaches Finney and tells him he's happy to see him again. He encourages Finney to visit the church more often and leaves. The father and daughter head out, but trouble follows them. They get cornered by Big Cat's men. They try to beat Finney, but he puts up a good fight. Eventually, they overpower him and beat him severely while Savannah screams. Pastor Wilder intervenes and saves Savannah and Finney. Wilder takes Finney to the hospital, where he passes away. Cash arrives and finds out about Finney's death. He gets enraged and saddened because Savannah is an orphan now. Meanwhile, Sheriff Hollister visits Cat to confront her about Finney's death. it is revealed that Sheriff Hollister has been working for Kat this whole time. He only came to warn Kat to not conduct her business in the open because it could create problems for him while covering her. Kat threatens to get him killed, just like his deputy, and reminds him that she owns him. Back in the hospital, Cash consoles Savannah and prays with Wilder. He prays to God that he doesn't understand why he is taking away his family one by one. He proceeds to ask for strength so he can avenge his family and kill Big Cat. Now, Cash is on the mission to take out all of Kat's goons and then Kat herself. He finds the Doe with a junkie and starts shooting them. Doe retaliates but eventually gets shot in the head while Cash gets knocked out by Doe's car. Cash wakes up later and finds his car keys missing. He abandons his truck and runs as Kat's men start arriving on the scene. The sheriff and Kat arrive on the scene. He reports to Kat that this was Cash's doing because they found his truck. Meanwhile, Buck and his partners visit Pastor Wilder, looking for Savannah. Wilder lies, saying that she isn't here and that it's only him and his dog in the house, but they don't believe it. Wilder tries to fight them while Savannah listens from above. She runs downstairs and surrenders. To save Wilder's life, they kidnap Savannah and tell Wilder to inform Cash to trade his life for his Savannah's life. Later, Cash arrives at the pastor's house and finds his niece missing. Wilder apologizes and loads his guns. They both now plan to rescue Savannah and take down Kat together. They drive to Zeke's law firm and kidnap him. Back at Kat's house, she tends to Savannah as Buck informs him about Zeke's abduction. Kat then gets a call from Cash, who wants to trade a Zeke with Savannah. He tells her the place to meet, but she refuses his proposal. Instead, she tells him to meet at her place with Zeke. Otherwise, she'll kill Savannah, and he can proceed to shoot Zeke as well. Cash agrees and changes his plans. Big Cat assigns Wes to look after Savannah while she's tied to the chair. Cash arrives at Kat's mansion, snooping around in the bushes, and finds a bear trap. Meanwhile, Pastor Wilder arrives at Kat's mansion with Zeke tied to the hood of his car so they don't shoot him. He parks in the front yard and tells Big Cat to make the trade-off with him instead of Cash. Wilder demands Savannah but hoards Zeka, so she doesn't follow him. Big Cat forcefully agrees and orders Buck to shoot Wilder as soon as they get Zeka back. Meanwhile, Savannah breaks free and picks up a shotgun. She shoots Wes, and all hell breaks loose. Cat orders her men to shoot down Wilder, while Buck goes inside to retrieve Savannah. Savannah shoots Buck and misses while everyone outside tries to corner Wilder. Wilder takes out one of the guards, whereas Cash ambushes from the back. He guns down 2 men and enters the house. Zeke manages to break free and runs away. He picks up a gun and shoots Wilder in the arm, but Wilder shoots his leg. Zeke limps and hides in the bushes, but gets attacked by Cat's vicious dogs. Cat runs to check on Zeke, while Wilder runs towards Jet. He manages to kill him, but gets shot in the shoulder. Back inside the mansion, Savannah is out of bullets as Buck chases her. Cat now finds her dogs eating Zeke's corpse. Cash arrives and fights Buck. He tackles and disarms Buck, but Buck pulls out a knife. Cash gets brutally stabbed but manages to stab Buck in the neck. Cash picks up Buck's gun and rescues Savannah. They both get ambushed by Big Cat, who shoots Cash in the leg. They run away as Cash gets shot again. They hide behind a pool table, where Cash tells Savannah to run away and leave this state because he might not make it. Savannah runs out of the window as Cat starts shooting the table. She shoots Cash in the shoulder as he is out of bullets. She tells Cash that she will find Savannah no matter where she goes, but Savannah returns and stabs Big Cat in the skull. She drops to the floor and dies. A few months pass by as Pastor Wilder returns to the church for his regular sermon. He managed to survive, and now he's recovering from the injuries. Back at the farm, Cash is also recovering as he runs the farm with Savannah now. I hope you like it. Please comment down on what you liked about this movie and what scene you liked, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in our next video.